Our love of appetizers is no secret, and we love dips. I am a sucker for chips and dip. Welcome back to Feeding the Birds. If you're new here, I'm Amber, and I'm so glad that you're here. Cold dips are so perfect at this time of year when it's typically hotter outside. We're gonna start with this, what is called a viral boat dip. We are gonna start here with a glass mixing bowl, just so that you guys can see everything that I'm doing right here in this bowl. Now friends, this one is so incredibly easy. I'm telling you, your kids can make it. I mean, anybody can do this. We're starting off with some sour cream, and you need about 12 ounces. Now, we are only a family of 4, so I'm not gonna be making a full recipe. This is actually, I think the one that I'm making serves 8. So it's still a pretty large portion, but you may wanna double it if you're taking it somewhere. I'll have the links in the description box so you can do all the conversions and everything, but we need 12 ounces of sour cream. It's gonna go right here into this bowl. Now, if you've been here for a while, you know that typically when a recipe calls for sour cream, we sub out and we use Greek yogurt. For this one, I am gonna be using sour cream just because it's the bulk of the base. I still think you could make this with Greek yogurt if you wanna make it a little more healthy and add in some more protein. I have 1 cup of cheddar cheese. Absolutely feel free to use something like a Mexican shredded blend, but we always have this Kerrygold cheddar cheese on hand. You guys know that if you're not new here. We buy this in bulk at Sam's Club and shred it ourselves. We love some Kerrygold cheese. I have a packet of taco seasoning here. Obviously, you can make your own taco seasoning if that's something you want to do, but when I was getting all the groceries for this, I figured, let me just pick up a packet of taco seasoning. Now I got the hot one. Didn't even realize that. Definitely thought I got mild, so this one might be for me and my husband. Now I lost my train of thought. All right, so we're only using half. So feel free to make the larger version and add in a whole packet of taco seasoning. Also, if you don't like spicy things, you might wanna opt for the mild packet. Picked up the off-brand, the 365 version from Whole Foods. This is the organic petite diced tomatoes. This one has jalapenos and cilantro in it, but you can just get a can of Rotel if you're not a fan of the off-brand or if you're not a fan of cilantro, because I think Rotel doesn't have cilantro in it. For this part, you're going to want to have some sort of mesh strainer or some way that you can really drain these tomatoes. I'm gonna pour this can into the strainer. We're going to actually press out all of the extra liquid. Now, really for this half recipe, you only need a half can. So I'm going to take about half and pour it in here to my mixture. Ooh, we almost had the full can, which I don't think would be that big of a deal, to be honest. We really like tomatoes with jalapenos and stuff in them, so I can set that to the side. We could always rehydrate if we wanted to use that for something else. Now we're just gonna combine all of this together. Now, there are some other things that you can add in here. I actually was planning on chopping up some jalapeno and adding that in, but that's before I realized that I got the hot packet of taco seasoning. So now I'm not sure I'm gonna add in the jalapenos just because if the kids do wanna eat it, that could really take it over the top. But this recipe, I mean, you could add in things like that. If that's something that you enjoy, if you like spicy things, definitely feel free to add in something like jalapenos. So this recipe is best after you just let it sit in the refrigerator for a little while. So I'm actually making this pretty early in the day. It is currently 9:30 in the morning, and we're just gonna let this sit and just kind of marinate together in the refrigerator. Obviously, this is a very easy dip to make. It doesn't take a lot of ingredients, but if you want a dip that is even easier, I'm gonna direct you to this video right here. It's gonna have similar flavors because of the salsa and the cream cheese. If you have company coming over and you have about 10 minutes of prep time, you don't even need 10 minutes, you literally need 30 seconds. But if you have, you're trying to get everything together really quickly, that's a great one. So check that one out as well. All right, so we're going to put this into the refrigerator. Like I said, this is a recipe that you can make well ahead of time. You can make it the night before if you know you're gonna go somewhere the next day, but you really want it to chill for at least an hour. You either love dill pickles or you hate them, but we are going to make a dill pickle dip. Stay tuned. If you don't like dill pickles, you can just skip over this recipe because there's more coming. So don't miss out on the other ones if you don't like dill pickles. But let me know in the comments if you are a dill pickle fan. For this recipe, I'm using the kosher baby dill pickles. This is the like Harris Teeter Kroger brand. We need about a cup of chopped pickles. So I'm gonna use maybe 4 or 5. I have another jar in the refrigerator if I need it. Y'all, yesterday I went to lunch with a couple of my really good friends. You guys might even follow them on here. Jessica O'Donoghue, Mandy from Mandy in the Making, and Carla McKenzie. We ordered fried dill pickles. I love dill pickles. Like some of my favorite things. I'm a salty girl all the way. So things like that, I love salty flavors, and they were really good at the place where we ordered the fried dill pickles. So we're just cutting this up into small little pieces that can be easily incorporated into a dip. So you really don't want them to be too big. You want to be careful about that. Oh yeah, this is going to be about a cup. So like I said, I used the baby ones, and 4 is enough for sure. This actually might be a little more than a cup, but like I said, I really like dill pickles, so I'm not too concerned about it. Every time I chop something, I'm reminded of the fact that my pastry cutter has disappeared. So I do have this scraper, but I keep forgetting to order a new one. I have 8 ounces of softened cream cheese. So that's just at room temperature. You don't need it to be melted or anything like that. I'm going to add in these pickles to that softened cream cheese. You can feel free to add onion to this recipe, but if you've been here for a while, you know we won't be adding onion. Oh, this spatula is not strong enough for this. Let me grab another. Actually, you guys know how much I love just using a regular kitchen spoon. So I'll probably go with that. And we've got flying pickles. Okay, so I'm just gonna start incorporating it a little bit because we're gonna add in liquid, and I wanna make sure that it's nice and easy to work with before I add in the liquid, and then it's, you know, all over the place. All right, so as you can see, we've started to combine this and it's looking really good, really tasty. I've got 3 tablespoons of pickle juice that we pulled from the jar before pulling out the pickles. So I'm gonna add in the pickle juice. That's our liquid that's going into this recipe. And again, I'm gonna go ahead and just mix it because, you know, when you're adding liquid into cream cheese, if you turn your spoon the wrong way, it's like all the liquid comes out of the bowl. So I'm just gonna try and prevent that. Okay, now we're getting to a really great dip consistency, but we've got more. I've got 1 teaspoon of dried dill weed. We're gonna add this in. And several of you have said that when you're adding in dill, rub it between your fingers first and it helps to kind of like release the flavor. Why not? I like dill. I like more dill flavor. I'm totally fine with that. So we will try that. And we're gonna add in just a dash of pepper. If you have black pepper, that's fine. We have white pepper. So just a little dash. You're obviously getting the salty flavor from the pickles, so you don't need to add in any salt. So at this point, that's all the ingredients that are going into this. This recipe should chill for about an hour. Again, this is another one that you can make the night before if you want to, so that it's ready to go for whatever you're taking it to, or if you're just having it ready for your family. Also, if you're wondering what I'm doing here, my daughter actually asked me that question. I like to clean up the bowl a little bit and just make it look a little nicer so that when I take it out of the refrigerator later, it looks nice and ready to serve. It's just me. The temptation to try all of these before they chill and they kind of just marinate together, it's real. We are making an Italian hoagie dip, and this sounds so delicious. Now I wanna start this recipe by getting my lettuce ready. So I'm gonna chop up a little bit of lettuce, put it in the salad spinner, wash it thoroughly, and then that can just sit there off to the side so that that's ready to go when we want to incorporate it. The recipe calls for having about 1 3/4 cup up to 2 cups of, what is this? Lettuce. I don't know that I'm gonna use quite that much. We'll see what this comes out to when I chop it up. So I'll just cut off the unsightly pieces and just start to chop it. I do wanna make it small enough pieces that it will go onto the end of a chip. So I would say this isn't really, I mean, it's a rough chop, but you want them to be fine. You want it to be a fine chop. You know what you could do that would make this even easier? Just buy a bag of shredded lettuce. because that's probably about the size that you want. I mean, that might be a little thinner, but yeah, that would make it really, really easy. This is gonna be way more than 2 cups, so I'm not gonna be using all of this. I'm gonna wash the lettuce. And then spin. So for this recipe, we have 3 different meats that we're gonna be using. And I just went to the deli section because I don't need a full pound of meat. So I did an 1/8 pound of ham. I actually did a 1/2 pound of salami, but that was a miscalculation on my part. I really should have done an 1/8 pound. Also, obviously, it depends on how much of this you're planning on making. But we're gonna use about half of that, cut that up. And then I've got some pepperoni. You can also get this sliced from your deli, but they were out of it. But my son happens to eat pepperoni quite a bit for lunches, so we already had this one on hand, which is perfect. And then after we chop that up, we'll have a couple of other things to chop up as well. Because, you know, I'm making a smaller amount, I'm using about a 1/4 pound to maybe even less of pepperoni, and I'm gonna dice this into small bite-sized pieces. But I took the recipe, and basically the recipes, I think, is intended for like 20 people, and I did the calculations to make it significantly smaller. What I would say is, depending on how many people you think you need to make this for, then you can double or triple, or, you know, cut the recipe in half, or whatever you need to do. This is an interesting fact, actually. This is my favorite type of sandwich. If I go to something like Jimmy John's, or if we go to Harris Teeter or Publix and we get a sandwich, I almost always order an Italian sub. But the funny thing is, and you guys have heard me say this before, I don't like ham. But there's something about ham that doesn't bother me on an Italian sub. Any other way, I won't eat it. But I will eat ham on the Italian sub. Okay, so we've got the salami, and I did a little more salami than pepperoni. If you want completely even amounts, that's totally fine. Now let's cut up our ham, and I'll probably use all of this because I did an 1/8 pound, and that's about what I need anyway. I just asked for the Black Forest ham. You just get whatever kind of ham you enjoy. Okay, that's actually a lot of ham. Like a lot more than anything else. So I might add some more pepperoni. I'm also gonna cut up some provolone cheese in the same way that I cut the meat. We need about 4 to 5 slices. I've got 3, so that's what we're using. We're using 3. Another thing we need to cut up, you can cut up pepperoncini, you can buy banana peppers, whichever you prefer. I really prefer pepperoncini, so I'm gonna take a few of these and just dice them up. You can also, you know, slice them however you want to do it. Let's start with 3. We'll see how that goes. If you want to take out the seeds, you can also do that. My daughter said these are a little spicy. I was gonna do 2 more, so I'm just gonna do another like half. But you can use about like a 1/4 cup or so. Now we've got everything cut up, diced, and ready to go. We can start combining and making the dip. This is gonna be so delicious. Adding in the lettuce to the bowl, that's probably about 2 cups, so that came out right. And we're gonna add in all of our other ingredients that we chopped up. Okay, now obviously you can also add in onion. We're choosing not to add an onion because we don't add an onion to anything. I'm adding in about a 1/2 teaspoon of the pepper juice. You can add in more. I mean, you can add in as much as you want to, obviously. For this amount, I need a little over a 1/4 cup of mayonnaise. So I'm not measuring, it's just kind of a guesstimation here. And then I'm also gonna be adding in sour cream as well. Feel free to use Greek yogurt if you wanna make that substitution. Because of the amount that I'm using, we only need about 0.2 cups, maybe even a little less. That should be plenty. I've also got a 1/2 tablespoon of Italian seasoning measured out. We can add that in. And this recipe really shouldn't need any salt, just based on all the flavors of the salami and the pepperoni and that kind of stuff. All right, and now we just mix to combine. This one you can make ahead. However, if it's gonna be a little while before you're eating it, I would highly suggest waiting on stirring in the lettuce. If you know you're gonna be eating it within the next hour or two, then go ahead and stir in the lettuce. It should be good to go. Otherwise, I would just set it to the side and then you can stir it in at the last minute. We have all the dips laid out here, ready to do a taste test for you guys. So basically, I think I told you, but we're doing a cold dips video. It's hot outside. It's actually really hot outside today. Finally. It's a scorcher. And then a third that we're not gonna be testing today is a whipped feta that we have made several times. As a matter of fact, we went out to dinner last night and the idea for the whipped feta came from a restaurant that we really enjoy here, and we ordered it at the restaurant last night. It's so good. So delicious. You wouldn't think feta and honey together, but it's so delicious.
Did you say a third?
Third of what?
Like a third dip?
Fourth dip. A fourth dip, not a third. The first one that we're gonna taste is this viral boat dip. It's called boat dip. I guess because people take it out on their boat. This is sour cream, taco seasoning, rotel, and cheese. But also I was gonna add jalapenos until I looked at the packet of taco seasoning that I bought, and I got a hot packet of taco seasoning without thinking. So I didn't add jalapenos just so it wouldn't be too spicy.
It is a little, it does have a little bite to it.
I know, but I still think you could add jalapenos. I don't think
definitely.
It's too spicy at all.
Yeah. I have a question for the viewing audience. And a question to you, if you have a preference. When you're eating dip, do you prefer chip side down on the tongue or dip side down on the tongue? Or have you ever thought about that?
Literally never thought about that question.
Never thought about it?
Never.
I'm sure there are people that have thought about that. Let us know in the comments and tell me what they say. That's great for a boat. Definitely, I mean all these.
So, I think this is really good. I think you could add a little more taco seasoning for another, just a little bit more flavor. The sour cream milds out that taco seasoning. So it's definitely not too spicy. I think I would actually like the crunch of a little bit of jalapeno in there. Not pickled jalapeno, fresh jalapeno. Another thing is, I made it with sour cream, but I really do think that you could do Greek yogurt and have a healthier version of it. Not that sour cream is completely unhealthy, but you're gonna get more protein into the dip if you do it with Greek yogurt. So, but it's definitely a great option for a dip. All right, this one is probably the more like controversial of all the dips. This is dill pickle dip. I love dill pickles. You like dill pickles.
It just depends.
I've already tried this one.
You like it a lot?
This was the one I was most excited about.
But what else is in it? Cream cheese and
cream cheese, dill pickles, dill. Is that it? It was not very many ingredients.
It's almost like a cheese ball without the covering, whatever goes on top of that. Good for a hot day. It's good. It's just a pickle dip.
I absolutely love it. And our son is going to eat this one up. He loves dill pickles.
Yeah.
I think it's delicious. If you like dill pickles, and also if you like cheese ball. You're not a huge cheese ball fan.
You could put jalapeno in there too.
Yeah, you absolutely could.
Spice it up because you already have the.
People are gonna comment on that and they're gonna be like, does he not know how to say jalapeno?
Because you already have the crunch from the dill, so just throw in the crunch from that.
This one is called an Italian hoagie dip. So it's basically like a hoagie sandwich. So you've got salami, ham, pepperoni, provolone, banana pepper, or pepperoncini, and then lettuce. Now, technically, I added the lettuce a little too early because I prepped this one earlier, but I said at the end, you should really wait and mix in the lettuce right before you eat. There's also mayo in it too.
Is that, what'd you say that was?
Onion. There's onion all in it.
Banana pepper, is that what that is?
Pepperoncini, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's good.
I think that this one could be eaten with tortilla chips or pita chips. I think that the dill pickle one, definitely the pita chips, and then, or like a crusty bread. And then the boat dip, 100% I think is tortilla chips.
Yeah, like what are those called? Crustinis or something?
I can see where you would want to add the lettuce a little later, but this was only a couple of hours. If you're prepping it the night before, I definitely would not put the lettuce in. It's just going to continue to wilt and almost get like, not soggy because there's not a lot of liquid in there, but just like not crunchy, and you don't want that.
Yeah.
But the flavors of this one, because this is my favorite sandwich anyway, so I love the flavors of this one.
It is good.
I think
I like that
more pepperoncini.
This stuff right here?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely more of that.
So I think more of that, but we like spice. So adding in more, but I think this is perfect spice amount for the kids.
I'll be curious to see which one they gravitate to the most. Definitely good hot weather day dips. Get that with a San Pellegrino flavors.
Blood orange.
Blood orange San Pellegrino.
We gotta get more of that.
That's a boat day.
It's a boat day. We don't have a boat, but
We can
it's
imagine.
a boat day.
We can imagine.
The first time that we had this, it was at a restaurant and I immediately knew I had to figure out how to make it. It is so good. To my bowl here, I'm gonna add about 2 ounces of feta cheese. Actually, I'm actually gonna measure this one. And I am dividing this recipe in half, again, because it's just the 4 of us, but you would probably wanna make the full recipe if you're taking it somewhere. All right, so that's actually a little over 2 ounces, but that is okay. All right, we're gonna add about 2 ounces of cream cheese. I'm adding about a ½ tablespoon of olive oil, about a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic. Just gonna add some parsley, tear this up into it. Take my hand mixer and mix all of this together. You could do this in a food processor and it would really do this quickly for you. Take some pistachios. I am gonna shell them, put them in a little baggie, and we're gonna break them up into pieces. I'm gonna take some pepper and just put it around the edge as best as I can. This might be a bit of a challenge, but we're gonna go for it. And now we're gonna take our pistachio pieces and also put those around the edge. Okay, this is going in the refrigerator because we're not quite ready to use it, and then I'm gonna fill the center with honey when we're ready to serve. I told you guys already that I love the whipped feta, and I had to figure that one out several years ago when we tried this in a restaurant for the first time. So good. We love the flavors of this one, and we served that one along with pita chips. It's also really good served with just like crusty bread. It's perfect that way too. All right, friends, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you are staying cool in this warm weather. Definitely try one of these dips, especially if you're going somewhere over the 4th of July. These are perfect to take to some sort of event or gathering. Your people are gonna love them. I hope you're having a great week. Bye.
Bye.
Our verse today comes from Matthew 7:12. So whatever you wish that others would do to you, do also to them, for this is the law and the prophets. If you need more inspiration, I highly suggest that you check out the video above where you're gonna get even more dip recipes.